Kia ora koutou. So my name is Arna. I am the grants advisor for the Waitemata, Orake and Howick local boards. Here are a few of the main grants that we look after. I'll be going through the community grant process, so the local board community grants. These are contestable grant rounds, and they have 6 focus areas. So they are arts and culture, community, environment, events, historical heritage, and sport and recreation, which is what the focus is tonight. So how do you apply for a grant? We only accept online submissions, so you will need to create an account through the Smarty Grants website. Also, just quickly, this presentation I think will be sent out to each person tonight, so all these links you'll be able to access as well. So once you log in, you will be greeted with a list of current grant rounds for each local board. So each local board have a different open date and close date, and it's usually for a couple of weeks, so you have a bit of time to apply. So this is what a typical application looks like online. This is only the first page. But just an idea of what a form looks like. So on the left-hand side, it shows each page of the application, and it'll also show your progress. So each time you go next, it'll highlight the next page for you. And then it's got obviously the appropriate buttons to push. So how do we fund? The basic process of how we fund starts with the round opening, as mentioned before. All local boards have different opening rounds and close dates, excuse me, meaning you can only apply during those specific dates. Once a grant round closes, you won't be able to edit or add your application. So they're strict close dates, because they are contestable grant rounds, which means they go up against other applications. We will then assess your application. So all the information you've provided, we will go through it and then provide a summary. It'll then go to the local board, the appropriate local board that you've applied to, and then they will decide to either fully fund, part fund, or decline your application. Then groups will get notified of the outcomes. We will send you comms through your email address that you've supplied when you applied for the grant itself. So once you have completed your project, you will need to account for the funds that you've spent as well as the outcomes of that project. So that's the accountability that you'll need to provide. Which brings me to this slide, which is the accountability. So if you don't submit an accountability report or fail to produce a satisfactory report, then this could affect your applications in the future. So please also only account for the funds received. For example, if you've applied for $2,000 to purchase netballs for your local club, only provide accountability for that. We have had groups who have supplied documents on, purchasing of paying their water bill, for example, which is something that we don't need. It just takes a little time to assess those applications. So who we fund and who we don't fund: individuals, organisations, and companies. Political parties or activities we do not fund. Schools we don't fund if it's for the core curriculum. So we will fund activities outside of school, so school after school programs or sporting groups. And just there at the bottom is the Auckland Council community grants policy. So it'll also detail who can apply and who can't apply. So not-for-profit organisations usually can apply. Limited liability companies also can apply as well. So eligibility. Applicants with no legal structure, unfortunately, can only apply for up to $1,000 unless they nominate an umbrella organisation. So an umbrella organisation is someone who takes financial responsibility for the individual or informal group. They will also be the ones who essentially apply for the application. However, you will do so on their behalf. It's your responsibility to find such groups that are willing to support you. So if you really are having trouble, you can contact us, and then we can put you through to a community engagement advisor, and they might be able to point you in the right direction. But we typically don't do that for you. Us, the grants advisors, don't do that. Also, your project will need to align with the local board priorities and outcomes, which can be found on each local board community grant program. And every local board do have different outcomes and priorities. Exclusions. Exclusions to apply for a grant for organisations who apply for debt, legal or medical expenses, applying for religious or political activities, retrospective costs we also don't fund. So if the event or project has already taken place, and anything that should be provided by central government, so healthcare and education, we don't fund. Oh. Okay, so the different types of grants offered by local boards. So there are three main grant types. So local grants, so the minimum amount you can apply for is $3,000 and up to $10,000. It can take from 15 weeks from the round opening date for a decision to be made, and then the quick response round. So between $300 to $3,000. Some local boards have a limit of $4,000, I think. And they can take 10 weeks for a decision, and then multiple grants. This is where you apply to a series of local boards, and there is no real limit. However, it is within reason as well. So you're not going to ask for $200,000 for a new sport club, for example. And this does take a little bit longer because each local board have different decision dates. It can take longer than 15 weeks for a whole decision to be made. Local grant programs. So things to keep in mind. Each local board does have outcomes and priorities, and they're outlined in each local grant program. They're prioritised if they're met, and they also have higher and lower priorities as well. So this is a list of the local boards that have contestable grant rounds. I have linked every single grant program to this as well, so you'll be able to have access to that. And what we're looking for when we assess your application. So if your project aligns with the priorities and outcomes, financial information, including quotes. This is something that I can't stress enough. Please provide quotes, as this makes for a stronger application. If you can't provide quotes, please provide a detailed budget and breakdown of what exactly you are asking for. If you're requesting for professional services, or you have say you've got a tennis coach that you're wanting to bring on board for the summer holidays, make sure that you provide a contract or a working agreement that is in line with your application. Benefits to the local community. So how many people will benefit from this? Is it going to be good and engaging with the local community, as well as who are you collaborating with? Are you collaborating with other sport organisations to bring this project up off the ground that you might have? Two main things to remember: they are contestable grant rounds. So try to look at it as in you're in competition with someone else for a grant, and they do have strict open and close dates. So as grants advisors, we can only help you so much after the close date. So if you have produced a poor application, we can't guarantee that we will be able to help you fix that after the close date. So please get your applications in as soon as possible, because that way, if we do see or have any feedback that we can give to you, like, hey, you haven't given us enough information, or we don't understand what your project or event is about, then we can sort of give you that feedback and you can work on the application before the close date. Important documents. So, excuse me, please ensure that you send through all these documents. So bank statements showing your organisation name and bank number, financial documents. This includes audited accounts if you are registered for that, and minutes stating that you have agreed to apply for a grant. There has been some cases where an individual has applied for a grant for their organisation, but no one else knows in that organisation that they've done that. So we need that that proof that everyone is on the same page to apply for a grant. As well as quotes again, and a detailed budget of the items that you wish to receive for the funding for. Important things to remember again, get your application on time before the closing date. A lot of groups do it last minute, and so the close time is at 10 p.m. Unfortunately, we don't work past the hours of 5 o'clock. So if you do, for some reason, have any technical difficulties, we won't be able to support you in that. So try and get it in as soon as possible. And then if you do have any issues, we can support you and help you through that. Local board members and officers work independently of grants advisors. So if you have a close relationship with a local board member or members, then and you have an issue, or you tell them something in regards to your application that isn't always communicated to us. So make sure if you do want any help, or you have any issues or any sort of communication regarding your grant, please contact the grants advisors. Okay, so what do we fund in regards to sport? There's a few things. So programs and schooling, including school holidays, venue hire. This includes some rent costs, events, coaching fees, multi-sports, access to facilities, so training or games, including turf hires for clubs, health and safety, which includes first aid training as well, uniforms for competition, sports equipment, new or renewal. So if you have netballs, for example, when they're old, you can apply for that. I've had a group who applied for porta goals, so goals that they can obviously move around. You can apply for education, communication, and club room development and equipment. A new deck or roof, guttering as well, tables, chairs, and curtains. Here are some helpful links. So the first one is the Smarty Grant. So that's where you apply for an application. The Auckland Council Community Grants Policy. This is a detailed, everything that I've pretty much said tonight is more detailed through that policy. If you are unsure which local board to apply to, there's the local board finder. You put your organisation address in, and then it'll spit out which local board you are a part of. Then there's the grants calendar. So there are a whole bunch of other grants other than the contestable community grants. So if you are looking for something specific, you can have a look to see what types of other grants that we offer and when they have grant rounds open. Meeting minutes and agendas. So say, for example, you have put through a grant and you want to know the outcome. You know that the decision date was tomorrow, for example. The minutes should be up on the website that same day. You'll get a communication from us maybe a few days, possibly a week later. But if you can't wait, you can look at the meeting minutes and agendas. So there's the link. Questions regarding anything, there's the community grants email as well. And if you want to speak to someone, there's the customer service number, and then they will put you through to the appropriate grants advisor. Yeah, thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Arna, there's a few questions. You seem to have unshared your presentation and we can't really see you. I don't know if that was intended, but I'll quickly read out the questions for you. What's the calendar year for local board tickets? From what month to what month?
It depends. So each local board has different rounds. They are all throughout the year.
Okay. Okay. And if you apply under quick response, can you also apply under local grants at a later date?
Yes. So you can apply for two multiple local grant rounds. Some local boards you can only apply for, say for example, you want to apply for the netballs as an example, but you can only apply for that once. You can't apply for that another time within that same financial year. So it has to be something else.
Okay, thank you. If we are based in Waiuku but play in the Franklin and Auckland associations, who's the best district to apply through? Doesn't seem to be any for Franklin open or coming up.
Yes, you would apply for Franklin. The Franklin rounds, I can quickly see for you. So they have a local grant round. I don't think they have any quick response rounds, but the local grant round is open. Sorry, the multi-board, they have a multi-board round, and that's open in June, which is past, sorry, and the next one is in January.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Last question. I'm not really sure that you can tell us too much about this, but can you tell us anything about the Sport and Recreation Investment Fund?
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, if anybody wants to know something about that fund, just get in touch with us separately. I'd be happy to talk you through that, or experts who are dealing with that one at the moment.